I don't know. As many times as I've tried to do this tonight, I don't know how I'm gonna get enthused about it. Like I'm losing my mojo as the minutes go on. I had to give up on so much stuff. Stuff didn't work out. At any rate, there's a lot of exciting things going on in my life right now, spiritually. I think. So I like to I always have to let that in, because so many times I thought I found something. But you know what it really is you double check. You know what's a good game? Stratego. Stratego. Remember Stratego? It's a good game. It's a good game. That's a good game. Life's a lot like that. You meet something the first time, and you don't know what the heck it is. But if you pay really close attention, you know what it is the second time. Life's a lot like that. But yeah, I really, you know what? We'll know by the end of the night. Well, we'll know a little bit more by the end of the night. I will know more than you might think I do by the end of the night. Or, let's say things go wrong tonight. If I wake up in the morning and I just know that we'll finally get it done, and then even if things go wrong in the morning and I don't get it done, if I just say, fuck it, we're doing this the next day and we get it done, I'll know a lot. At any rate, but then, you know, I'll know a lot, and yet nothing in comparison to what I'll know if the direction I think I'm heading is still what I think 2 months from now. But yeah, a couple of things have happened to me within the last 2 years that I did not expect to happen. Just like a major mind blow, inflow, and major mind blow evaluation. And all that remains is to show that we can make that major mind blow outflow. And yet, it's only been within the last month that I've realized, in terms of the big game, on a practical level, what's been accomplished. It's only been within the last month. At any rate, Yeah, I'm just going to mention anyways, since I have the time this time. It's like my 5th time making this recording. Like the first 2 times I was even using a screen recorder for no reason. Did I already mention that? I don't know, because this is my 5th time making this recording. But yeah, I think it's about a couple of years ago now. Excuse me. I, rather surprisingly, may have read the best book I've ever read in my life. Whew. I would expect that. I read a book, where at the time I was reading it was like, wow, I didn't expect to come across a book like this in my at this stage of my life. This is like a book that would affect me this way, like in my early 20s, late teens, early 20s. From the age of about 17 to the age of about 23, that kind of book. The kind of book that would affect you that way, that around that time, yeah. But, yeah, I'm 51 years old, I guess I was 49 when I read it. Just about to turn 50. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was just about exactly 2 years ago. The book was, it was about 300 to 400 pages long or something. Maybe even more than 400, I don't know. But, and yet on every page, I sat and read it, first of all. I stopped doing everything else. I would take breaks to eat and sleep, but I basically just stopped doing everything else and sat and read that book, and I was taking notes. I was underlining and taking notes almost every single page. In fact, after like the first 20 pages, I was underlining every page. There was at least one underline on every page, Some would be whole pages that just like every word on the page were underlined, and some would be that plus notes in the margins. It was a major book. It may be the best book I ever read. To kill the suspense, it was a book called The Secret History of the World by Jonathan Black. Actually, I read it under the name Mark Booth. Jonathan Black is his pen name because he's known under that name as a publisher in Great Britain. So, I guess some editions of the book have him under the name Jonathan Black. And the version I read was Mark Booth. I've also sort of read The Sacred History of the World, which is, it's just called The Sacred History. The connection between secret and sacred. I like the Freudian interpretation of the connection between the secret and the sacred, right? About female anatomy and naughty bits. Anyway, the sanctum and the sanctum sanctorum. In the tabernacle, there's the sanctum and the sanctum sanctorum, Latin. That would be, at any rate, you can take that a few ways. You can think about things a few ways, can't you, in this world? Anyway, that's an aside, a digression. Sort of related to what I wanted to do. So yeah, kind of as like a protest against the state of the world, added a couple of books to my list of all-time favorites. 1984 and my very short. See, I made a list of every big boy book with no pictures I'd ever read around 2004, and found it was very easy to pick 4 books. Was how that basically worked. But by the way, okay, good. You can see right up there. That's where it's the time. Yes. Still got a sip or so. Oh yeah. Hey. I probably haven't mentioned it this time I'm recording, but hey, a lot of you may not have ever seen me without a beard before. Hey, and yeah. I'm just saying. Yeah. No. No. Let's end this. Let's end that nonsense. Yeah, there were 4 that were easy to choose out of the little over 100 books. And yes, that means I'm not, as I had previously thought, an avid reader. I'd always thought of myself as an avid reader. Apparently, avid readers have read thousands of books by the time they're in their early 30s. I had merely read, more than 100. I'm not sure it's a fair test, though, because like every 10 years or so, I like to go back and reread a book. It's not as fresh in my mind, for one thing, and I may have grown to a different point of view by the time I get back to reading it again. Plus, I don't have time to read, but yeah, okay, fine. I'm not an avid reader. I've never had a goal to be an avid reader. I just love reading the right book. I love reading the book that's just perfect for me at this time. At any rate, I ran across that book, and I have told you that. And I even told you what the book was and who it was by. But at any rate, one of the books that was always on the list, and by now you should know how I'm using the term always, was the Illuminati Papers. I think even before I'd listed everything I'd read, I'd probably already narrowed it down pretty close to that 4. But yeah, at any rate, now there's definitely 5, You could say 7, I suppose, at this point. But, 2 of them are kind of protest votes for how bad I think the world's going.
Power off.
Oh, we gotta turn that power back on. Actually.
Power on.
There you go.
Auxiliary.
I got something you can auxiliary. And one of the books that was always on that list was The Illuminati Papers by Robert Anton Wilson. Yeah, okay, there is some more preamble I wanted to do. As stupid as it will sound, I think I've found my mission this lifetime. And I'm going to say it in the way people like to say it these days, and then I'm going to tell you the way I see it. I'm already going to be saying something that's going to sound stupid. And then within that, I'm going to say it the way I see it, rather than the way other people would have me say it. That I'm looking for the laziest way to do real spiritual growth, is how people would want me to say it. I'm looking for the laziest way to get off the dwindling spiral, and I think I'm close to achieving my mission. You really can narrow down importances if you want to at all. Bible says that seek and you shall find. At least in the realm of the mind, it really is true, folks. A lot of things are easier than people would have you believe. I don't want to say everything right now, and it's not so that I can be coy, or so that I can string you along. Because I hate like YouTube series where they just string you along. You know. There's this one guy, dude. Folks, there's this one guy that had 100-some odd videos. I think they took him down or something, man. YouTube took him down probably because he was just so shamelessly, stringing you on. You got to watch the next video, dude. You got to watch the next video. Yeah, after it gets to be over 100. And you want to know what he was doing? He was proving the Paul is dead theory. He found more than 100 ways to say that he thinks that Paul really did die in 1966. And I watched almost every one of those videos. He actually is really good at he really was good at stringing you along, man. And he would put, evidence, and evidence that you would want to have, but it's just dude, you could have said that in 1 hour and a half video, so something smells funny in the state of Denmark, and it's not that fart I let earlier. You know, no, but yeah, it's not to be coy or to string you along. There's other factors to consider. Like you can jinx yourself by bragging about things you're going to do in the future. It really can't be about that anyways. It can't have anything to do with bragging. Not because being arrogant is bad, but because society thinks it's bad, and you know they think that. Yes, you do. You know they think that. So yeah, I don't want to jinx myself, but yeah, just within the last couple of months here, you know, I feel like I've really got a hold of some stuff, and the person who helped me out with that most was actually L. Ron Hubbard. At any rate, 75% of stuff I learned from a person I don't actually know that I think is going to turn out to be the best information I ever received in my life is from L. Ron Hubbard. Anyway, one of the books that was always on that list was the Illuminati Papers, and I'd like to discuss, I'm sure many of you will be able to see how all these digressions relate. One of those books is the Illuminati Papers by Robert Anton Wilson. And you're dragging your feet. You're dragging your fucking feet, dude. Stop dragging your feet like that. Get on with it. And I'd like to discuss one particular aspect of one particular piece, not essay, piece. Book is not a collection of essays. It has things that could not possibly be classified as essays under the loosest definition. One particular aspect of one particular piece. There might be more aspects, but one main aspect of one particular short piece, most of the pieces in it are short, of that book. Something I've already posted to YouTube, in fact. Because, and the reason that is because I've only done very early parts of the book, and it's the very first thing after the glossary. Yeah, it's a book that has a glossary at the beginning of the book. And if you read the book, I think you'd agree there's a reason for that. It's an amazing book. That's why it's on my list in so many dimensions. But at any rate, the first piece after the glossary is called Join the Head Revolution. And I have a problem with the reading list. That's the aspect. I have a problem with the reading list in that. So let's go through it. Shall we?
Join the Head Revolution. Want to contact higher intelligence. It's easy, really.
Oh, I forgot to mention, this is as rendered by a text-to-speech engine. The text-to-speech engine had to use something called OCR because it was not, because it's formatted strangely and or it wasn't made into a PDF right from the get-go, or both. And it did so imperfectly. And I have a bunch of stupid background noises. Hey, I'm not a production value guy, man. I just want to get shit done. good as possible. I eliminate the imperfections as necessary, and not one iota more. Slug 'em, drug 'em, easy does 'em, baby.
The human brain is an organ of adaptation, Freud. Head means hedonic engineering and development. Using your brain for fun and profit. Efficiently, ecstatically, creatively. Contacting the higher intelligence within.
I do want to say that, I love everything about this. I mean, I love the inspirational aspect of this, But, yeah, I have a problem with the reading list. Mainly.
That's what head is all about. Having fun with your own head and getting smarter. Send us no money. Just buy the basic programming manuals for the human head. 1. The book you have in your hands.
Which, would be the Illuminati Papers. That I agree with it. The first item I have no problem with.
2. Exopsychology by Timothy Leary.
No. That's not even Timothy Leary's best book on the 8th-circuit model of the human nervous system. And then Timothy Leary has stated, I think on more than one occasion, that Robert Anton Wilson expresses his own ideas better than he himself does. By the way, Timothy Leary's best book on his own 8th Circuit model of the human nervous system is The Game of Life. But yeah, Wilson has written both Prometheus Rising and quantum psychology, basically all about that. For non-academics, the best of those is Prometheus Rising. For people not academically inclined, the best of those is Prometheus Rising. He's also listed it in, he often seems to like to end books by explaining Timothy Leary's 8th Circuit model of the human nervous system, and it's littered throughout the Illuminati Papers as well. But, yeah, that's my problem with that. Exopsychology, it sounds like it would be the best book, doesn't it? His best book on the subject, doesn't it? Of course, you know what? Leary probably didn't come out with that until 79, and Wilson hadn't written those books. So, to be fair, I'm not saying... Wilson is willfully giving the wrong answer, at least on that one. But nonetheless, that answer is wrong. At least from my point of view, and that's what we're here for. This is an opinion piece. All right, next. Hello, Lucy. I'm home.
PhD. 3. Programming and metaprogramming in the human biocomputer by...
Yeah, I have a big problem with programming and metaprogramming in the human biocomputer by Dr. John Lilly. The best Dr. John Lilly MD book, in my opinion, is The Center of the Cyclone. And also, on Wilson's recommendation, on Wilson's say-so, 10 years later, I've finally tracked down a copy of Dr. John Lilly's programming and metaprogramming in the human biocomputer. And although that was 20 years ago now, I couldn't make heads nor tails of it. Either that or... Nah, you know what? If I remember that book correctly, dude, there's nothing to get. There's just nothing to get. No, there really just isn't. It's like if you know that it's possible that if you know that marijuana can make self-imposed behavior and other psychedelics can make self-imposed behavior modification programs easier, that you can get in the right space to do that, then he has nothing to tell you. It's and even if you didn't know that, I don't see a lot of people suddenly realizing how to do it by reading that book. That's not his best book. His best book is Center of the Cyclone. And maybe the Dyadic Cyclone. Simulations of God by Lilly is a book where literally let me try and describe the effect. I'll do what I can. It's like, he can't possibly be saying this because I already know this. And this guy's really, really, really smart. Next page. He can't be saying this because I already know this. And he's really, really, really smart. Next chapter. He can't be saying this because I already know this. And he's really, really, really smart. And that was in my early 20s. I mean, he's a fine writer. It was, I guess, kind of entertaining in that, but it's like, I mean, like, wow. That particular, I mean, wow, I don't know, but, by the time I was in my early 20s, it had been more than 5 years since I'd read some Hubbard, and more than 5 years since I'd read the Illuminati Papers, and was well versed with, a lot of Wilson's style of thought. Who knows? But I read Lilly's autobiography, and he apparently lost a friend because he was on a K trip, and he felt up his friend's girlfriend, he just not realizing that there was anything wrong with that. Because he was just too far out there, man. I sometimes wonder if that was Robert Anton Wilson. I believe he says wife, not girlfriend. I don't see, because I don't see Robert Anton Wilson ever being all that fond of anybody after they try to fuck around with Arlene. And B, correct me if I'm wrong, Wilson just sort of stops mentioning Lilly at a certain point in his career. Like, you could go right up to a certain date and then all of a sudden never mentions Lilly again. Correct me if I'm wrong. So, like, he could have messed with Arlene, man. As a Wilson head. I'm just saying.
John Lilly, MD. 4. Mind Games, by Masters in Houston.
This is the one, this is the worst one on the list. This is the one where I'm aghast. I'm utterly fucking aghast. It's like the same story with the Lilly book, only like even worse to a significant extent. Like, it took me even longer to get a hold of Mind Games, the book recommended by John freaking Lennon, man. It has to be awesome, dude. It's utter fucking crap. I mean, it's bad. It's really, really, really bad. It's dated. It's hypnosis. It's group hypnosis, and probably it's supposed to be like group hypnosis with psychedelics. But I think, and like you're just supposed to figure that out or something, because it's the 70s and you're reading a Masters in Houston book. Dude, it's sitting, it's like you lie down, do relaxation rituals in a circle, and listen to people tell mythopoetic stories. That's the book. That's the book, dude. It's bad. And it's like, it's dated. It feels, if you had to pick a book that just feels so 70s, man, that'd be the book, boy. And like, was I expecting so? Oh, yes, I was. It's recommended by Robert Anton Wilson and John frickin' Lennon, and it's written by masters in Houston. This has got to be one hell of a good book. It sucks ass. Wow, I mean, and the way, it's one of John Lennon's best songs, the way he drums it up, man. Some call it magic, the search for the grail. I just, it sucks. I call a lot of things magic magic and the search for the grail. This book is unusual in being not one of the things I'd call that. It sucks. Go ahead, check it out. No, really, go ahead, check it out. But really, tell me if you disagree. You know, I mean, it's so far from meriting the level of hype it's got. Wasn't really all that innovative. There were more innovative books being written at about that time. Masters in Houston. Like I totally have respect for those names. I'm just telling you, I finally got a hold of it, and I'm like, I can't believe it. No, this book can't suck as bad as this book is sucking. And it just did. It sucked. The book, it's bad. The book is bad.
Five, magic, by Alistair Crowley.
Can't disagree with that. I mean, like, what a weird list, guys, because, like, okay, you shouldn't even count the first one. Because that's, read this book. But, like, okay, so, I mean, I'm sure he means the big blue brick, but, like, mind games is spirituality for babies. The big blue brick it's just it's totally out gradient. in Hubbard's terms. It's just totally out gradient. It's a signature out gradient book. Now, Crowleyans themselves are actually probably better at doing in gradients than Hubbard. I mean, as far as their actual practice, a lot of Crowleyans, they'll take you from the very, very, very bottom in actual practice. But that particular book, it's out gradient. It's like the theory is great. Like if you can hack that. But then he just goes and just sort of lists the practice. Oh man, I mean, you just hardly anybody could confront. You know, I mean, it's just I can imagine a person just going, you know what, man? This looks like a bitch. I'm gonna do this shit because it's a total bitch. I'm gonna get this shit done. I could imagine that, and that's probably the kind of people he was looking for, too. And that seems to be the kind of people he was looking for and got. But, yeah, it's not for the masses. Well, at any rate, I'm gonna just tell you, I'd replace the fourth item on the book. I mean, it's Mind Games. Oh man, I couldn't believe it. I never thought I'd end up saying it, but I got to looking at it. I got to reading it. I could not finish it. I confessed, but it was bad. I mean, it was really bad. If I haven't, I mean, just almost any measure, it was bad. Like, it was bad. Oh, and I couldn't believe it. How could it be bad? But I'm telling you. I'm going to replace it. I'm gonna do some preamble on what I'm going to replace it with. A lot of you have already guessed. I'm going to replace it with some Hubbard. Heck, and now that I've admitted that, you've probably even guessed, a lot of you have already guessed what the book is. There may be a few people who know. I haven't told a lot of people. I believe that in the universe next door, shall we say, that Timothy Leary's... oh, by the way, the best and most important book Timothy Leary ever wrote in general, and perhaps even the one most useful for hedonic engineering and development, would be his monumental interpersonal diagnosis of personality, which in fact is the basis for his 8-circuit model of the human nervous system. Like, you know, interpersonal diagnosis of personality is back when he was still respected, and if it was hedonic engineering 101, then the 8-circuit model of the human nervous system is hedonic engineering and development. Excuse me. 202. Now, Timothy Leary's 8-circuit model of the human nervous system, I always kind of crazily compare it with Hubbard's 8 dynamics. But the one thing about the history, a few things don't match. I mean, Hubbard went from 4 dynamics to 8 dynamics. There's 4 dynamics in Dianetics, the Modern Science of Mental Health. Even though the original thesis actually lists the 8 circuits, I can totally understand why he only listed 4 in Dianetics, the Modern Science of Mental Health. Probably a very good move. Uh-oh. Well, I think this darn thing may be out of juice. Yep, that appears to be the case. So I guess right after we get done, then we're done until I get another Paco. Or a lighter. Yeah, so, now, those who don't know me, and especially those who don't know me and have biases against either Scientologists or people who like Hubbard's work, people who have prejudices on that subject, will guess, like, I don't know, Dianetics or something. I don't know, the way to happiness or something. No. Anybody who knows me would probably have really knows me probably guessed Science of Survival, and yeah, they guessed right. I believe that in the universe next door, Leary's Interpersonal Diagnosis of Personality and Hubbard's Science of Survival are considered the most important works on psychology in the 20th century. Criminy. Look at this crap. Oh, never mind. It's the book about the tone scale, folks. And once you realize that the tone scale really is the nature of human emotion, yeah, and he pretty much covers it, everything important about the tone scale for a non-specialist in that book. And it's about a chart, the Hubbard chart of human evaluation, which is a chart of the tone scale in multiple dimensions. Yeah, that's, I guess, all I have to say. Yeah. Science of Survival. L. Ron Hubbard.
That's all there is to it. Read the manuals. Learn to program your own headspace. Be the first hedonic engineer on your block. And
I'd like to help you be the first hedonic engineer on your block.
Have fun with your new head. And Illuminati International. I wish to write you.
Alright, that was it. This recording I'm using goes on, but that was accidental. In fact, we already got into like half a sentence on the next thing. Alright. Yeah, alright, yeah, I guess I'm going to finish this up. Upload it to YouTube. I guess I don't really have anything to say. Anything else to say. It's something I've been, thinking about for quite a while. But never gotten around to it. And I think I can hook this baby into a bigger thing. That's it. I've already wasted gone on quite long. So, it's kind of an opinion piece that was intended to be helpful. Whether you choose to recognize it as that is entirely your prerogative. Say goodnight, Gracie.